but here we go. So, Connor, looking forward to sharing your kind of story and experience with Close Pro so far. I mean, it has only been a couple of months, but
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind so far.
it's been 2 months, and we've already done double what you were doing in your day job. I think you hit 5K last month in your second full month, right?
Yeah, double the day job.
Yeah, awesome. Well, look, I mean, I really wanted to get you on here. Usually, we do these sort of interviews with people when they're a little bit further down the journey, but I think you've just had such a great start to this process, and I think it's just a really nice story to share. So, yeah, let's kind of start with life before then. So, just talk me through what life looked like before you kind of got into closing.
Yeah, so life before closing, I spent 5 years in the Merchant Navy, which a lot of people kind of take it as a Royal Navy, but it's not, it's completely separate. So for myself, I spent 5 years working on cruise ships, which sounds great, and it was great. I had a great career in that, but it just got to the point like I was traveling the world. I always wanted to travel the world. I mean, these patches behind me are related to that, being able to see
Yeah.
all different countries, but it was kind of being told what to do, where to go, when to do it. And although I was traveling to all these fantastic countries, like my job itself was driving the cruise ship, so it was a navigation officer. And for a lot of people, it's kind of, looking at that position and then giving that all up for something newer that necessarily isn't guaranteed, but just exploring a new opportunity. Might have seemed crazy to some people, but I was ready for that change. So, I mean, I've gone through 5 years in it. I mean, looking another 5 years ahead into the future, I could very easily predict where I was going to be. So I was looking to get away with it just being, I mean, months away you'd see at a time isn't
Yeah.
for anybody, let alone when it's working 10, 12, 14-hour days as well.
So, how much of the world do you actually get to see with working like 10, 12-hour days?
Yeah, and we've done a lot of countries, but there was a lot of countries that we'd rock up to and I couldn't even get off the ship. Because of my working hours as well, it was maybe 2, 3 hours a time in each country. So these flags behind me, these patches look fantastic, but in reality, it was probably like 2, 3 hours in each country. So it give you a good indication of what countries I would like to go back to, but not necessarily explore it in the way that I wish I could have.
Yeah. So, what point did you start thinking this isn't really getting me where I want to go?
Probably 4 years into it. So I'd done it for 5 years, and at the beginning of year four, I was kind of looking for other routes out, and what could I do to change it? At that point, I just wasn't happy, and not necessarily not happy. I was just knew there was so much more out there. There's all these different opportunities, so I kind of looked at other ways into that, and that was September was the changing point. September of 2024 was when I kind of started to like look into new things.
So, all right. So, when's that? Nearly a year and a half ago then.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what was the first step? Because you didn't go straight into this. You did property, right? So, yeah, what did that look like?
Yeah, I'd done property, and it was just one of them things. Like you see it all thrown about. Property is a great investment, so I thought, let's see how I could get started, really. And I kept on seeing this guy's name through about Samuel Leeds everywhere. So I kind
Yeah.
of listened to a lot of podcasts and everything, and I realised he had a mentorship. I had never done any kind of mentorship before or anything like that. But I was away at sea, and I thought, I've got 3 months off at a time. Let's put that time to good use. So I went and done one of his £1 crash courses down at Manchester, and on that day, kind of opened up my eyes to business. Like 10 months, I was like, wow, it's possible. Let's do it. And on that day, I had 3.5 grand in the bank account. Done this big sale for a 4-day event in London for 2K. Ran to the back of the room, splashed the 2K, and then by the end of the day, I had took out a 10 grand loan to top it up to 12K for the 12-month mentorship program, which ended October just gone, and then I paid another 2 grand to be a part of it. Which I got success in it in my own right. I did get my own house and I refurbed that from start to finish, but I didn't make any profit in it. I spent 12 grand, another 2 grand afterwards, but it kind of got to the point where I spent so much time renovating this house that I couldn't explore everything else, and it was a minefield of information. So I kind of got 12 months into it, hadn't made a penny profit, and that's kind of when I was like, right, what do I actually want out of this going forward? Is it property going to provide me with the lifestyle that I want? And I kind of came to the decision that no, it wasn't going to.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's obviously not a bad experience, right? You've probably noticed even in with yourself how different you were when you started to what you know kind of do now, what you feel like you know, are now going through a mentorship program. I know it is giving you so much, but yeah, when it can't kind of pay the bills, it's a
Yeah,
hard one. I mean, having a house is obviously a massive plus, but when it's not giving you you know a few grand every single month, so you can live the life you want to. Yeah, I know that's really tough. But when did you kind of think, right, property is maybe not the thing for me?
that was at around. It was after like the 12-month mark. I paid the extra £2 to be a part of that academy for another 12 months, and I was away at sea again. This time I was crossing the Atlantic Ocean, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I kind of just sat there in my own thoughts, nothing really to do. Ship was on autopilot. So I wrote down all these different business models, and it was like AI automation, trading, continuing property. And I just kind of to weigh up the pros and the cons. And with being away from property for like
Yeah,
2, 3 months, it kind of gave me a realization of, right, if I'm going back home and I continue in property, what's the next 12 months going to look like? And I realized it was going to keep me tied to the UK. It was going to really lead to burnout. I wasn't truly
yeah,
passionate about it. And when I found other mates that were then, working remotely, everywhere we travelled to, they were just there, pick up the laptop, make money. I'm like, that's ridiculous. How can I do that? Because property isn't going to be it. So I was at sea. It was about November, I would say, November, December time, just one. So 2025 that I was looking at it and I was like, I've seen high ticket clothing thrown about. Let's find out a little bit more about that. And that was kind of the turning point when I listed all of these different options out.
yeah. But you know, something you just said there, I think is so important. You do get very burnt out when you do things that you don't necessarily enjoy.
Mm.
You know, any path is going to be hard work, but when most of it involves things you don't enjoy, you find really difficult. You know, that's why people often struggle to go to the gym because they don't enjoy it. And the ones who obviously stay in shape are the ones who find a way to enjoy going to the gym. You know, I've been consistently going to the gym 5 to 6 times a week for the last 17 years because I don't see it as a chore. I just see it as like it's a break for me. It's like a hobby. It's something I enjoy doing. But you know, I think my first two businesses with the drop shipping and the trading or side hustle, not a business, you know, I lost 30 grand between them two. I lost about 2.5 years because I could never stick it out. I'd never put the work in because it was such a chore to do the work. I'd go through that cycle. I'd feel super motivated. I'd work on my motivation. I'd do like 12-hour days. I'd like all weekend, and then I just completely burn out, and I just wouldn't really touch it. And then I'd really feel the pain in my current job again. It would motivate me to change it, and I'd just go round
Yeah.
in circles.
It was kind of that story that you touched on there that I seen on your, I think it was, I seen either on your Instagram or YouTube
Mm,
initially. And it was that, lost 18K or whatever it was, going through all these different business models, 30K a year between the lot. I was like, shit, that's me. Like, that's, I realised that just because I've spent all this money
mm,
in, yes, I've spent like 14.5K on property, it doesn't mean that I need to continue with it just because I've invested into it. That was for me the realization, seeing your story was, right, obviously I'm not the first person to do this, but that creates
yeah.
my story. And just because I've invested into it and spent time there, just take the positives away from it and use it as a lesson to go on to that next business as such.
Yeah, yeah, and it's so hard to let go sometimes. You know, my first business, the clothing company, which was technically drop shipping because it was custom suits, and you'd tell me your sizes, you'd design it on my website, and then I would get a factory to make it and deliver it to you. So it's essentially a little bit of drop ship and a little bit of ecom. But you know, I officially shut that down. Like officially walked away from it, as in dissolved the business when I got that website client in. So my agency was my third business, 18 grand that I got for my first client for a website, 2 grand a month for ads. And that's when I thought, right, I can officially let go of this other business. But yeah, even when I took that break, I thought I'd always be able to come back to it because, yeah, I didn't want to let go. But you're right. It's when you start to see that no one has a major success on their first go round, or, you know, some people do, of course, but a lot of people don't. It is the lessons you have to learn in the first thing that take you through to maybe even the second thing or the third thing that finally get you to sink in and go, oh, okay, right. Maybe I need to like change myself before I can change my position. Maybe I need to work a little bit harder or
Yeah.
stay consistent. So yeah, it's a similar journey to everyone. And when you start to find things that you enjoy, that you're good at, then as you know from the closing side, how different it's been this time. But yeah, what was it about closing? You said AI agency, you said the other things, drop shipping, trading, all these things. What was it that stuck out closing wise from these?
I think you do get a really good idea, even just when you write it down on a bit of paper. So for me, like writing down AI automation, there was something just about AI that I was writing down. I was like, that's not me. And then I was writing down all these other ones, and it's like, yes, they've got great opportunities because obviously people are doing it now. You've done it yourself, the work, but I was like, I'm not interested. I'm not really passionate about it. And then when I was sat there listening out. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm talking to my mate for 4 hours, pitch black, and we're always having these conversations like business, health, fitness. How can we make money? And it just kind of clicked when I was weighing up the pros and the cons. I was like, right, rather than juggling everything like I was in property, speaking to landlords, so much involved in it, I could focus on one thing, and that was obviously the sales side. And I've always been interested in leveling up my sales skills. And I thought, hold on, I could get paid for learning my sales skills, improving my sales skills, alongside having a conversation that I'm genuinely passionate about. And I turned to my mate, I was like, I think I found the one. He's like, what is it? I was like, high ticket closing. I don't have a clue what it is, but I know it's going to give me 3 things that I'm looking for. And for me, it was, what do I actually want out of 2026? 2025 was a long year, I built on it, but I didn't get what I was looking for. So 3 things I wanted out of 2026, which was to be genuinely happy, to quit my job, and to leave the UK. And in 4 years' time, all 3 of them were going to become a reality. So it was kind of, that mix of, closing ticks every single one of them boxes, whereas the rest of them don't.
Yeah, and considering you did lose money with the property side, or it didn't work out in the way that you wanted it to, most people in that position when they've had that loss, they're so cautious, they're just so skeptical about trying something else. So what do you think was different about the closing that made you, yeah, I am going to go for this one?
It was that realization. Like, I tried to learn it myself on YouTube initially for like 4 weeks, looking at all the different courses online, and I thought it's an absolute minefield. And then I could have like resented the fact that I spent all this money in property, but despite not having the full success that I wanted to, I still realized the value of having a mentor and being shown from someone who has been where I wanted to go. So that, in terms of, right, why close, and then how's that just not going to happen to me again? It was more the fact of I could focus on one thing. I knew an actual time frame to get to that point, where in property, I can't guarantee what house I'm going to go and buy next or what property deal I'm going to negotiate. Whereas this, I've got a clear step-by-step plan, and I wanted support from someone, obviously yourself there, that's been there but holding me through that point. Whereas with the property side of things, it was such a big opportunity that I had paid for the top dog, but I was getting it mentored from somebody else. But obviously, you get what you pay for, and I paid for the top one, didn't get it, so kind of shopping around.
Well, in this case, you didn't get what you paid for. So.
But no, it was just that, that step by step, and I could actually see, right, 90 days ahead of now, if I can guarantee a closing roll, then that's fantastic. In the property, I can't guarantee I'm going to be buying the house in 90 days. So it was having something, right, I'd been burnt in the past, but looking ahead into the future, I can see that way out now.
And what did you find, really surprised you when you joined? What did you think the first few weeks were like?
I was expecting good things, but genuinely, I was pleasantly surprised. I think, personally, I'm big in my mindset and, pushing good habits and everything, where I was hoping that was kind of going to be incorporated. I assumed it would be, but the way it was just structured, and right, we start with mindset and yourself just digging big into it. Obviously, I know now it's a huge part of it. It was just like, wow, everything was just laid out step by step. I wasn't having to guess what I was going to do next, and because I didn't know what I needed to work on next, it meant I was like that first week, I was waking up at 4 a.m. every single morning because I was excited to get to work because I knew what I had to do next. I wasn't guessing what I had to do to get there. So it's like, there, right, say if you're 100 outreaches away from landing your first role, if you know on that 100th one you're guaranteed a role, then you're going to blast them out as soon as you can. And that was me with the training side. I could get through each module.
What do you think the hardest part was?
I came in with a lot of confidence, expecting to just jump onto a call and run a sales call. And we know that was not the case. I think the fact that it's actually a lot harder than, not that it's made out, because I understand it's easier than the models,
but some people do. They say closing is very easy. Anyone can do it. You would make 10K in 3 months, and it's not the case.
No,
you have to
work, definitely. But for me, it was the realization of, oh shit, there's levels to this game. That's why the people are doing well.
But as we always say, if it wasn't hard, then why would someone pay you all this money to do it?
Yeah.
If closing was easy, I as a business owner, I would just pay a Filipino $3 an hour on a VA site, because that's what they get paid for a lot of VA work. And why would you not just pay someone to do that if you can get away with it? Why would you need to pay someone if someone's generating 100K for you? Like, why would you want to pay them 10 grand a month to take your sales calls if you could get someone else to do it? Well, because it's a hard thing to master.
Yeah, I know that now.
But we hit 5K in our second month. I know that you got connected with a really great offer. So yeah, just kind of talk me through how that happened and how you got connected and how you found working with that offer.
Yeah, that all came pretty quick, didn't it? It was like 10 days in, once I joined the community, and you actually start networking with people in the community and you start talking about it, you kind of get an idea of where to go to for these different types of offers. So within the community, someone had referred me onto this offer. I was like, started speaking to them, having a chat with them, essentially had an interview. And I didn't have any experience to start with, but I was confident. I said, look, if I come into your team, then I love what you're doing. It's all about mindset, men's mental health, overcoming bad habits, something that I'm genuinely passionate about. So I kind of secured that offer on the basis of it's how I run my life. I'm passionate about it and the confidence to be able to do so. So jumping into it, it was a big step to start something brand new and actually, start making income online. But after my first week of being in that offer, which would have been, 17 days into the program, I'd made my first £400, which, yeah, granted, isn't a lot of money compared to what we can achieve in the sport. But it was the first time I had ever had money come into a business bank account after 14 months in property. So huge win. And working with the offer, they've been great. It has been a really good offer. But obviously, until I was in the space, I would have never found it. So it's going really well at the moment as well.
And it's such an underrated part of it, picking an offer that you genuinely believe in, you connect with, it helps people. Because if you're just selling an expensive thing and taking a commission from it, energy gets burned very, very quickly. Like if you're selling life insurance or you're selling like some product that you probably don't even think will work. Like the most hated phrase I have in sales is I can sell ice to the Eskimos or I can sell sand to the Arabs. It's like, why are you selling things that people don't need? So yeah, absolute game changer. But now we're in, I know we got a trip planned soon as well, which was a big dream. So it's Bali, right?
It is Bali in 4 days.
Yeah, being able to quit your job and move to Bali, within 10 weeks of starting?
Yeah, I think it's literally 10 weeks. 10 weeks in. Before I started it, I didn't even have an idea. And wanted to get out the UK this year, but I didn't expect it to be 10 weeks in. I thought I'd still be, trying to find myself a role, but it's all come that quick and we've seen the success that I thought, why am I waiting? So I've got Bali booked in, then we'll be on to Vietnam and Thailand after that. And then I've also got a big family wedding in Australia in August, which when it was planned last year, I was going to miss because I was going to be on the ship. Now, I'm 3 weeks out then. When I get out there, I don't know, maybe just stay there or go to New Zealand or something. We'll soon see.
Oh, but that's the beauty, right? You have the choice.
Yeah.
You don't have to have your life around this job. You can literally plan life around how you want it. When I was traveling, like one of the greatest moments was when I was in Canada. I'd done Bali, and then I met someone who knew someone who was doing, I think, a digital agency, and they wanted to move to New York for like 3 months. And they were like, well, do you want to like take my property like over? So got like this amazing apartment downtown in Vancouver, and then yeah, I was coming home in November, start of November, and I looked at the weather in the UK, and I was about to board like get into the taxi to go to the airport to go back to the UK, and I was like, why am I going back to the UK? Like, why don't I just, I don't know, move to Australia? And then sorted the like holiday visa out and done 3 months in Australia. It's like the snap decision. I had my clothes, I had my laptop, and that was literally it. I even had a guitar I bought in bought in Canada with me, and I was on the first class flight from Canada to Australia, and
Yeah.
everyone thought I was some like an artist or something. And I was like, oh, this is the absolute dream. The absolute dream. But you're
I
right,
love
when you're there.
that as well, like being
Yeah.
spontaneous, which when an
Mm.
opportunity arises, saying yes to it. If I want to, we were booking our flights to Bali, and you were touched on Colombia as well. So
Yeah.
just before we had booked them, we were like, yeah, Connor told me about Colombia. So I went on and looked about half an hour, and I was moments off booking a flight to Colombia instead of Bali. I was like, no, come on, I had already got my accommodation booked,
Mm.
and we can decide to do in the future if we wanted to.
Do you ever take a moment and just think how different it is from the Navy?
Yes, I think I was saying to one of my mates 2 nights ago, I gave him a call. I was like, it seems impossible. I cannot comprehend going back working for my old job.
Mm. If you could, yeah, if you could go back to that version of you on that ship earning 2.5 grand a month, what's the one thing you would tell yourself?
Stop waiting. Like you've been thinking about this for some time. Yes, the property stuff didn't work out, but life will always have a way of
Yeah.
working out. Like no matter what happens, right? Okay, it doesn't work, and I need to go and work in a coffee shop. Great. It's not the end of the world. I can always go back to that job, but if I look 5 years ahead and I don't do anything now, I can guarantee the place in what I'm going to be in.
Yeah.
But if I don't, and I'm like 22, I said to myself, if I don't do this now, then I've essentially wasted the next 5 years of my life
Yeah.
because I can guarantee where I'll be. So I have made any progress.
Mm.
But I mean, no responsibilities. I'm young, free. Like, yeah, I've got the house there, but I'm not going to let that so hold me to pursuing something with a huge amount of opportunity. So going back to myself on
Yeah.
that, I thought about it for so long. I honestly wish I came across it early because
Yeah.
I could have been 12 months into this instead of properly making 20 grand a month by now, which we're pushing for. But obviously, we need to start with the 3, 5, 8K months first.
Yeah. And was your lack of sales experience a little bit of thing that hold you back, do you think?
I would say so. Yeah, obviously, it's a big part of it. I've never been part of sales before, never had any training towards it.
Yeah.
So it was definitely an element of it. And I thought, hopefully, my confidence will get us through it. But obviously, the skill side is just completely separate.
Yeah, but most of the people we see in a very successful position, you know, the guys I've helped to get to 10, 15, 20K, a lot of them have zero sales experience when they get started. Like, what do you think the biggest thing you'd say to someone who's also sitting on the fence to getting into closing because they don't feel like they've got necessarily the sales experience to get started?
Oh, it's bullshit. You don't need any sales experience. I've come in and I've obviously applied myself to it. So someone with zero sales experience, it's almost better because you're not bringing in any bad habits.
Yeah, the big misconception is that you don't need sales experience, you need sales skill.
Yeah.
And there's more than one way to get sales skill. Experience, yes, but if you have experience doing the wrong thing, that doesn't equate to skill. But if you have training, you get the skill. And then the experience obviously solidifies that skill. You get better and better. But that's why a lot of people who come from corporate sales, yeah, it's the bad habits. It's the lifelong experience with that very over the top formality and rapport building style where it's very subservient to the people we're trying to speak to, but they don't want a fake friend. They don't want someone who's just being overly nice to them, hoping that they're going to buy. What they need is a strong, authoritative figure that they trust can help them. And learning how to do that in the right way with the right training is always going to be more important than years of experience doing the wrong thing. So yeah, you know, you're 100% right. But you know, because your journey in entrepreneurship is so similar to a lot of people. Again, we've spent 12K on a mentorship. We've spent 12 months kind of doing it. So what would you say to someone if they've, sitting there, they've been burned before? What would you say? What would you say to them?
It creates your own story. Like, I love a
Yeah.
story, and if you were to put two stories in front of ourselves, mine and yours are quite different, but also quite similar. We've tried something new. It's looking ahead and looking back on your own story. Like, I love the idea of, everyone is writing their own book. Your life is a book, and you hold the pen. Every
Yeah.
single day, you get to turn over the page and start fresh again. So, what story are you going to write today? And having gone through that in the past and maybe been burned, just shows that you can overcome something a lot bigger than stopping at the first hurdle. It's just part of the story. And I think for me, if I was to read a book of people who've been burned and spent all these tens of thousands of pounds over someone who's tried one thing and it's worked out straight away, I know which book I'm picking up. So
Yeah, love that. Absolutely love that.
Forward, yeah.
And what do you think the biggest misconception is about this space? Now you've actually seen it from both angles, from the outside, and now you've been in it. What do you think the biggest misconception is?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say, biggest misconception is that, someone with no sales experience just can't jump into it. They expect to need years and years of experience to get into it. But we touched on it there, like even coming in with sales experience, it's a completely different industry. And it almost does, for me getting into it, I thought it sounds too good to be true, but now I'm in it. It shows that it really does just tick every box and you genuinely are rewarded for your efforts,
Yeah.
not your time. And I think that's the biggest misconception.
100%. And again, don't get me wrong. What's not going to happen if you have no sales experience, and even if you've done great training, you're not going to land an offer where you're making 10K from the first month.
No, you
An
can't.
offer that is able to give you the opportunity of 10, 20, 30K, they're not going to take anyone without at least 6 months experience closing very specific deals. They don't take, like, sales experience as a whole doesn't come down to like closing on a very similar offer. But when you're working with an offer that is like your offer, I mean, you were doing setting and closing in them. They're not at a level where they're doing 100K a month. They're doing, less than that. So when you take all their revenue or 10% of it, you're not going to earn 10K because they're still scaling up. They'll be on the 20s, the 30s, the 50s, and then they'll grow. But that's the same with my offer. I had an offer that I grew with coming into the space, and that's how I got to 20K a month. But if you have no sales experience, you'll match yourself with an offer that's on a very similar level to you.
Yeah, you've got to be prepared to put in that effort to grow up. If you do want to be hitting 10K, it doesn't happen overnight. But that is the biggest misconception there, is people thinking they could just jump into it with no training or anything. I've had a lot of my mates message me like, oh, I've reached out to these, how can I land myself an offer? I was like, even if you land yourself an offer, you're not going to close them deals. Like, if you're going to be asking someone to pay upwards of 5K on a call in space of 45 minutes to an hour, but you've never invested into yourself before, it just doesn't work. Like, that's why I'm pleased that I did spend 12K in property, because I can very confidently sit in front of somebody and say, look, I've been here, I've been there, I've spent money myself, and this will genuinely help you. You're not just forcing something on them. It touches on that.
How can you sell something that you don't believe in?
Exactly.
If you refuse to invest in yourself, to learn skills, to get into a better position in life, but you're trying to sell something to teach someone skills to get into a better position in life, like, those two things will never line up.
Something there.
Yeah, 100% agree. But look, I mean, it's been a couple of months. We're in our third month now. I know you got some closes yesterday, some pays in full that I saw in the group, which is great. Yeah. So this journey is just going to get bigger and better, and we'll definitely have another one of these like in 6 months' time to see how far you've come. But again, I thought it was such an inspirational story to overcome that, to do so well so quickly. So I want to thank you for coming on, Connor. And we'll be looking forward to hearing from you again.
Definitely looking forward to it, and thank you for the opportunity, because this is obviously it's the one thing that has actually worked. Going through the past, I couldn't even think 2 months into it I'd be making 5K, and it just shows that the opportunity is there. So looking forward to catching up again and seeing what position we are in 6 months, because I'm sure it's going to be what we're doing now.
Well, I guess actually, final question: if someone's sitting on the fence to join Close Pro, from your experience, what would you say to them as well?
Oh, it's so frustrating, because I know the opportunities that are there for somebody. So if you're on the fence, kind of thinking about it, just can't reach out and speak to someone who's been there, done that, and you don't know until you try. Just take the leap. It's frustrating because I know if they were to take that step, then I know how good of an opportunity it's going to be and how much better the life is going to be. But until they take that step, you just got to kind of believe in yourself, back yourself 100%, and don't let anybody else get in the way.
Yeah, so true, man. Well, look, again, thanks so much for coming on. And yeah, we'll look forward to seeing what that next step is for you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, man.